1 2, check 1 2.
You can control your key.
Radio check 1 2, radio check 1 2, 1 2.
Hey RCT, welcome back. It's been some time since I posted a video. I figured it's time to start testing the CB radios out that I bought some time ago. These are going to be the Uniden PRO401HH. I really don't know why they had to give it a very complicated name, but it is what it is. So these are going to be the Uniden PRO401HH CB radios. And these are going to be, let's see if I can move this over a little bit. Hopefully you can hear me. I'm using my microphone. But it looks like it's kind of dark in here and my sunroof broke, so I can't really open that for us right now. So I guess that's going to have to do for now. So these are CB radios. The frequencies are going to be somewhere around 26 to 27 megahertz. I think these are about 4 or 5 watts. CB radios are very old school that were used. I don't even want to say when, because from what I learned when I went to the ham radio outlet store, CB radios used to require a license, number one, and number two, they used to have something called VFO. VFO stands for Variable Frequency Oscillator, meaning you can kind of tune your frequency, kind of like a ham radio. If you ever looked at a ham radio, it has the dials and you can dial it to a specific frequency that you want. So that's typically how those ham radios work. CB radio at some point were the same way until they got dedicated frequencies per channel. So there's going to be about 40 channels on a CB radio. And the hard part, I guess the part that I don't like about CB radios now, I grew up with CB radios, and this is all I used to use when I was a kid growing up. In fact, I had a Radio Shack base CB radio that I used to talk to my friends with. I even used to talk to local other CB radio. I'll see if I can move this down a little bit so you can see the radio. I used to do a lot of contacts with CB radio, and it was even the mobile CB radios, those are about 4 or 5 watts. You never really get anything more than that. Same thing with the handheld. These were never really made for very long distance communications. That's why they call them CB radio, which stands for citizen band, right? So it was made for the citizens to use as a please. Now, if you turn these on, you're going to hear a lot of junk. A lot of people just talking trash on each other. Unfortunately, that's what it really is now. Truckers don't even really use these nowadays either, because it's more of a nuisance than a benefit, right? Before you can get on here and call Breaker 19er, which was, looking for a traffic update or trying to, so Breaker 19er, it was channel 19. And that was a traffic channel that was dedicated for truckers, or if you're in a car looking for a traffic update. Some of these radios used to have a dedicated 919 button. Channel 9 used to be reserved for emergencies, so you can get on the CB radio and actually ask for emergency services, or sometimes Highway Patrol would monitor Channel 9 and respond on there. But again, that's kind of gone away for some time now. It's like I said, it's all just mainly trash. So I never really went back to CB radios. I haven't had a CB radio for, I would say, since 2008. I don't know how many years that is from now. Somewhere, 7, 8, 17 years, something around there. Almost close to 20 years, right? 15 to 20 years. Haven't had a CB radio. Never really went back to them after the last one I had. And the ones that I had were actually not bad. They were all from Radio Shack. I never really learned about other brands, but Radio Shack had a really good line. I think they're like RCT or R. I'll have to look at the models, but I'll post here in a few minutes which ones I specifically had, and I'll show you a picture of all the CB radios. I used to have, like I said, 2 on my desk, then 10 on the roof, and then I had a bunch of these handhelds that I would even at some point give them out to my neighbors, and we all talked. I didn't give them out as in you can have it, but My parents, I never realized how very fortunate I was that my parents actually bought me all of these CB radios, not knowing that they were still pretty pricey back then. One of these handheld CB radios, it had a really nice, cool is it LCD screen. So I had a little screen and had power down, power up, low power, high power. It was actually pretty neat. It looked, I mean, as a kid, it looked like a police radio. So I was very happy for that. But they bought me quite a few, like two, three, four of them, the handheld and the base radios and everything I really need. They really supported me in that. Like I said, I've always been into radios. It's always been a passion. So, but anyways, going back to these radios. Looks like on the site here, I'll review these in the studio so we can look closer on what specifically these can do. I'm gonna be honest with you though, they can't do much. To be honest, even again, I don't like the size of these radios. As I've said before, if you follow me or heard me on a few other radios, I really like big radios, right? These are the radios I grew up with right here. They're pretty big and bulky, and I just felt like it was more beef in your hand, instead of having carne asada, you had actual, New York steak in your hand. So I felt like these were better than the ones that they designed later on. Let's see if I can find the antenna for this one. But this is how I grew up with. They used to come with something called uh, telescope antennas, where it was like this, and you had to extend it, and it really extended pretty far up. If you ever look at old racing videos, I'm talking about 70s, 80s, you'll see that some of the crew members had CB radios, and there was a big radio with a little strap in the back here. It always came with a little strap and a big, giant, long antenna. And to be honest, it only had two channels. It had channel A and channel B, channel 1 and channel 2. If you ever watched the show Stranger Things, yeah, Stranger Things, they use CB radios. Realistic CB radios is, I think, the brand. And it was exactly how they were back then. The way they use them in the show, where they went miles, no, you're not going to get miles and miles out of this unless you're in a really good spot, unless you're in high elevations or out of the city. I'm not really expecting much out of this one here. I really am not, right? So I'm going to give it right now a 3 out of, I would honestly give it a 2 out of 5 star because, again, 4 watts, 27, 26, 27 megahertz is a good frequency because it's considered high frequency HF, and the wavelengths actually travel a little bit more different than UHF or VHF. So they have some chances of reaching further, but they aren't very strong when it comes to penetration. So between cars, between houses, between buildings, it doesn't have greater chances, right? That's why a lot of times you see those HF antennas high on the roof, or sometimes people get away with those antennas at their house, and that's how the higher the antenna, the better it's going to be, right? And that's really for anything, but HF is one of those where you need a good antenna, you need a good height, and you need a really good radio to push out that power and consistently. So another thing I don't like about these CB radios, I'll be honest with you, I'm going to be honest a lot more than I probably should. I'm not going to try to discredit CB radios or discredit the design or what they are, because a CB radio is a CB radio, right? They all generally perform the same. Two things to keep in mind. Back then, they used to be just AM. So AM amplified, something. I'll put the description here below. So they were AM, right? And the easiest way to describe that is that AM was like listening to your AM radio. Very muffled and fuzzy, and you can really barely make out what the person's saying. So it's just amplified, right? And FM is actually, again, listening to your FM radio, listening to the local stations. No one ever really listens to FM because it doesn't sound great. You can't hear it. It's really muffled, a lot of static. Why even bother with that, right? But CB radios finally were approved to go AM FM, which I think is great. So if I ever were to keep a CB radio, obviously old school, just for for safekeeping, but I would invest in a CB radio that has AM FM. I don't know if FM is becoming popular again. I really still don't see a lot of traffic or reels or videos or talk about, CB radios going from AM, FM, and people are getting back into CB radios because they're FM. I really doubt it. Okay. So again, one of the bigger, I guess, takeaways from these is the battery. The batteries do not come with a battery pack like some of the other ones do. I don't know if you can see here. Again, we'll go through this in the studio. But it requires 9 batteries. 9 batteries. I tried to do this test some time ago, but what I've also learned is that if you don't have fresh, out-of-the-box batteries, and you're trying to use a rechargeable batteries, it's very weak. It dies quickly. I don't know if it's supposed to be absorbing that much juice as it did when I used the rechargeable batteries, but I had to go out and buy brand new batteries at Walmart, and they cost me about $16, $15, $16, and I even bought the cheap of the cheap ones. And we're gonna see how that goes, but I honestly don't have, like I said, a lot of confidence in these because they're just not really designed like FRS or they're not designed like GMRS, right? GMRS, you can push out 5 watts on a handheld and 50 on a mobile radio. FRS, you can push out 4 watts, but the UHF, the 462, the 467 frequencies, they do a little bit better pushing through concrete or obstruction. You can get lucky on getting a good distance on an FRS radio. All right, let me put these in, but again, each of these require 9 batteries. To me, that's really not convenient. It's not, again, I would never really recommend someone going out to get a CB radio because you're going to be pushing through a lot of batteries, right? And everyone likes having dedicated batteries or battery packs or I guess like a dedicated battery pack for the radio. I would never really want to have to buy anything additional for the radio if I can get away from it. All right, so let me load these up. These are going to be 9 here, and I'm going to turn it around and show you what it looks like when it's on. So look at that. Even one little box is 8. 8 batteries, and now I got to open another box, right? Again, not recommended because this is not a very convenient method. All right. Let's turn this on. There you go. Channel 9. Oops, I got myself. There you go. 30, 40, and then back to 1. I hear a lot of people either use the really low channels 1 through 19, and then some people say, oh, just use the highest channels, which is around 35 to 40. I'm going to go somewhere around 25, so maybe there'll be less traffic. So one thing, let's see, it turns off to save battery, which is kind of cool. I don't know if this is high or low. I hope it's high-low. High would be 4 watts, low would be 1 watt. And there you go. Another thing that CB radios are well known for is squelch. You can control the squelch yourself, meaning you can turn it up as high as you want, or this is all you get. You can turn it just to where it stops with the squelch, which is around I don't know, maybe a 2, 3 level. I always keep my squelch typically around 2. 1 is too weak, 0 is just nothing but noise, and 2, at least it allows some break to come through. Generally, business radios are set to 6. 6 means you need a really strong signal come through, otherwise it won't even break mute. Mute meaning the radio is muted. It has a control that it mutes only when there's nothing coming through, and it unmutes when it detects a signal coming through. CB radios do not have that technology, so again, you're only really going to get what you can hear. Let me put the batteries in the other one. We're going to go to a different location here. Today I'm at the Superstition Center. I figured here, I did the one time I tested the talk pod at the mall, and what I'm going to do is maybe park the Jeep on the far side so I can go over to the dealership area and see as far as I can get. I'm not too sure how far that would be. we'll figure it out. I'll show you, as I normally do, how far. I'm not really anticipating this is going to go very far. Again, CB radios in the city are not the best. 4 watts is what it hopes to push out, but I don't even know if it's going to be pushing out 4 watts, right? All right, Semi, let me put the batteries in. All right, we are back. So this is what, let me go to the same channel here. I think I said 25. This is what you're going to get, all right? And then check 1 2, check 1 2, check 1 2, check. That's really what it's going to sound like. I have to get really close to the microphone to get something. Again, they're not the best. Some of these microphones, they claim to be omnidirectional. Sorry if you're crooked. Omnidirectional, meaning you should be able to talk in the radio in all directions and the audio picks up. Some of these radios that, again, are not in the best of design, you have to get very close to the microphone, almost as if you're eating the mic. Excuse me. Eating the mic sounds like talking like this. This is what you're going to sound like, or you're going to talk in the mic. That's what eating the mic is. A lot of times people with speaker mics, the way speaker mics are supposed to work is you talk right into the speaker mic and the audio will pick up. Some people like to grab the mic, put it to their mouth, and you start talking like you're a pilot, right? That's all you really get is that muffled sound. But again, even if I didn't, check 1 2, check 1 2. It sounds okay, but it sounds like it's still pretty distant, and you might have to speak up. So, all right, let me go find a location. Let me go find a spot to hide the Jeep. I have the bike here, so I'm gonna ride around, and then we'll see what these sound like. All right, we'll put out the map and see how far we can get. I don't think I'll probably keep these. Sorry for teeter-tottering. I don't think I'm gonna keep the CB radios. Like I said, these aren't not really my go-to. I'm not going to use these as my EDC or bug-out bag. I just don't think these are something that would benefit me in those type of situations. I grab my Motorola radios, my XTL 5000 here. So in time, I think I will auction these off, or not auction these off. Maybe I'll do a giveaway. Maybe I'll do half price. These are about, I think I bought them for $59.99 on Amazon, and I think I saw them recently at Love's or Pilot for $89. So they want $90 for each of these. And again, the radios are radios. I get it, but these, in my opinion, would not be worth $90, right? Because you can pick up a Battlefield for $20, $30. You can pick up so many other different type of radios that are going to be maybe better performing than these, than, you know, paying $90 for these. So, all right, standby crew, we'll move around and then we'll see you in a few minutes. All right, check 1 2, check 1 2. All right, team, here we are. I'm outside ready to go. Let's expand on this a little bit. Clipping my microphone onto the bottom of the phone. Let's see if that works. Very good. I hope I don't lose it along the way. Got my radio right here. Nope, it's not going to come out right here. Okay. It's on channel. How do I check right there? Okay, let's do a radio check.
Check 1 2, check 1 2.
All right, so I have the external antenna, the little ghost, I guess they call it, or a little stubby one, as the antenna for listening. See, there you go. I guess that's a good... Oh, great. I hope I don't get nothing but that on the ride. Like I said, that's all you really get on these radios. Just a bunch of crap, really. They're not really used for anything serious. Oops, I forgot I need to be on this head. I hope that doesn't continue. Anyways, let's go on. Like I said, I have the... Let's see if I can move this up a little bit more. Oh, geez. The little antenna up there, acting like if someone was using the other radio. Maybe I'll have to find a volunteer to go radio from radio. But for now, we're going to just kind of see what it does for pushing out. This is going to be it. This is going to be annoying. I guess good example of what you're going to hear, what you're going to get if you get CB radios, and there is no tones. There is no tones. There's no privacy tones, quiet tones. There's nothing you can really do with these radios other than change channels. But if you change channels, I mean, look, there you go, changing it to 21, and There's more static there. All right, so let's ride around. I guess what I want to do mainly is see what the distance is for these, and we'll go from there. All right, stand by. We'll find our first location. I'm going to try to make it just on the other side of the mall, only because, like I said, I want to see distance. This is a mall. Whoops, did I break the mic? So like I said, I really want to go through this mall because I feel like there is a lot of obstruction. And with more obstruction, it just seems like it's more of an opportunity to see if we'll be able to get any interference. The Superstition Mall is a pretty big mall. There is a lot of, I guess if you would say, obstruction. It's a pretty big building anyways. It goes from first floor to second floor. It loops all the way around from the 60 to the Country Club Road. So I think this would be a really good spot to test if we can get through any of these buildings. Let me get to the other side of Ross. We'll do a first check there, and then we'll keep moving on. Stand by. All right, team. I'm going to start out very generous right now. We are just on the other side of this building here. I think the car is right over here between some of these buildings. Like I said, I'm going to be generous. I'm hoping for the best. Well, let's see if we can get anything now. Check, check, 1, 2. Radio check, 1, 2. Testing our first location next to Ross and the old Fuddruckers. All right. Let's see if anything comes through. I really am hoping at least this distance will work. I'm pretty confident it will. Like I said, when I was a kid, I ran around the neighborhood and it worked. But that was, what did we say, 15, 20 years ago. So let's go to the next location. All right, team, we'll make this our third location. Yeah, first location, third location. We're right here below Ross. This used to be the old Sears here. But again, I know we're not half a mile, but let's try it because I don't really have a lot of confidence in CB radios, but let's let these prove me wrong. All right, stand by. Check, check, 1, 2, radio check. This is going to be the second location next to Ross and the old Sears. This is a sub-level, meaning the second floor. So in this location, we're a little below the first floor where the vehicle is parked. Check, 1, 2, radio check, 1, 2. All right, like I said, I'm hoping for the best. I really want to give this more credit than it deserves, but using alkaline batteries and 40 channels, no tones, no quiet tones, privacy tones, I just don't know how it's going to do. You can see some of the dust has been sitting on my shelf for a while. All right, let's go on to the third location, and we'll see if it does any better. All right, stand by. All right, team, I would say this is going to be our third location. I should be directly on the other side of the Jeep. We are at JCPenney and the Macy's, so I think that should be a direct line from the other side. Let's see what it sounds like. Check, check, 1, 2, radio check. We are going to be in the parking lot for this point, between JCPenney's and Macy's. Let's see if we can get anything, hopefully not as much static. Radio check, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, team, like I said, I see a coyote out in the distance, or a dog, stray dog. Hopefully it's not a stray dog. I feel bad for those. It's a coyote. I think he's looking for water. So again, these CB radios were never really meant for long distance. They were really made for just local communication, car to car, van to van. A lot of people use them for camping, convoying, maybe for truckers. They were never really made for what we use now. Business radios or FRS radios, where typically we would go to Knox or Disneyland, Disney World, and use the FRS radios to keep in touch with family. That's not what CB radios were technically designed for. Same thing with GMRS. GMRS gives us a little bit more power, flexibility with antenna, tones, quiet tones, all of that good stuff. So I'm not expecting a lot out of these, but like I said, I will try to prove myself wrong. And but I still think at the end of the day, even if these prove me better, I still don't think it's going to be part of my collection. If I do, it's going to have to be a CB radio with AM, FM, only because why would you stick to one when there's technically newer technology for communication option, right? All right, let me make, I'll do one more over here. We are kind of below, so let me... RCT. All right, sorry about that. I'm going to cut to the chase. I'm not going to bore you with the rest of the video because unfortunately, absolutely nothing came through with any of those spots. I'm not too sure why these didn't perform as expected. These were fresh out of the box. It's not like I used them before or had them around for years sitting, nor did I even have batteries in them for them to be sitting with batteries to corrode the power source of it. So again, I'm not too sure. I guess the final conclusion is these are absolutely not the best to invest in. I would say my recommendation is go with FRS, GMRS if you can. I don't know, again, why these didn't work. I'm not sure if maybe I need to try radio to radio instead of radio to scanner. But even then, I mean, your scanner, as long as you set it up correctly, should work. And as you can see in the beginning of the video, it did pick up the frequency, the key up that I had before I even left the area of the Jeep. The last review I did with these, you can see that the wattage was coming out to about 0.15 wattage. Again, I don't know if these are defective. I just got some really bad ones that came out of the factory. They were on high power, and so I'm not not sure what's going on with these radios as far as the distance or the general expectation that at least getting a quarter mile or half mile, which didn't really even come through or ping the scanner. Next test I'm probably going to do before I even give these away or decide that they're junk, I will get someone to help me do radio to radio, and we'll stay outdoors, and I'll see if the other person can at least get some sort of traffic that comes through. With these being 4 watts, these should have some sort of connectivity. Again, even a business band radio or a Apex XTS, those are generally 1 to 4, 1 to 5 watts. So these at 4 watts should have no issues. But again, it could be the antenna. But then again, when we did test the SWR, the antennas were bad, the wattage was bad. And my conclusion is that these are just awful design, and I don't know if these were something that Uniden decided just to slap together just to throw something out there. And people, I mean, I haven't really seen people use these. I haven't seen a lot of test runs. Again, I'm just not seeing these out and about. I know someone already made a comment saying they make thousands and thousands of CB radios daily. That's fine, but doesn't mean that they're still being used as much as GMRS. GMRS is just flooded, right? Ham radio is still flooded. Even FRS radios, they're still coming and going. And that's perfectly fine, but you don't see Walmart, Target, or Best Buy selling CB radios, so obviously it's not the preferred choice. And for me, it wouldn't, and I can see why in this case. So, all right, I'll cut it short. I will close out the video here. Stay tuned for a radio to radio. I'll get that going pretty soon. And we'll see how they go, and we'll make an official conclusion after this. And if anything, we'll reach out to Uniden and say, what the heck, man? We'll give them a chance to explain and see what's going on. So, all right, team, that's all I have. I will close it out here. Radio check, over and out. See you on the next video.